Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about relationships and the journey of self-worth. Relationships, as beautiful as they are, can also be a mirror or reflection of our deepest beliefs about ourselves. Sometimes you may face rejection and it can feel personal, even heartbreaking. But today, let's shift our perspective on this. Let's uncover the deeper reasons someone might come back into your life after choosing to walk away. Relationships are more than mere connections between people. They are powerful reflections of our inner beliefs, thoughts, and perceptions about ourselves and the world around us. Often we may think relationships are about finding the right person or maintaining a harmonious connection with others. But at their core, relationships have a way of mirroring the truths we hold within. They reveal the hidden corners of our minds, the fears, hopes, insecurities, and strengths we carry. When we look closely, the people we draw into our lives and the dynamics we experience with them reveal insights into how we view ourselves and our place in the world. When you meet someone new or engage in a relationship, there's a subtle, often unconscious exchange of beliefs. If you carry deep-seated fears or insecurities, these can influence the type of relationships you attract and the patterns that unfold. For instance, if you believe deep down that you are unworthy or not enough, you may find yourself in relationships where these beliefs are echoed back to you, perhaps through a lack of appreciation, respect, or commitment. This is not to suggest that anyone deserves unkind treatment, but rather that our inner worlds tend to influence our experiences in powerful ways. When we hold limiting beliefs about ourselves, we can unintentionally attract people or situations that validate these beliefs, reinforcing a cycle that may feel difficult to break. However, this mirroring process within relationships can also be an incredible opportunity for growth. When we recognize that our relationships are reflecting our inner beliefs, we open ourselves to healing and transformation. For example, if we notice that we frequently feel rejected or undervalued, we can begin to explore where these feelings originate within us. By doing so, we have the chance to heal past wounds, challenge our limiting beliefs, and step into a new level of self-worth and understanding. Relationships can serve as gentle or sometimes not so gentle reminders to look within and examine the truths we are holding about ourselves. Consider the experience of rejection in a relationship. Rejection is painful, and it's easy to internalize it as a sign of personal failure or inadequacy. But if we look a bit closer, we may find that rejection often triggers pre-existing beliefs about our worthiness and acceptance. When we feel deeply hurt by someone's choice to leave or reject us, it may reveal that we've tied our sense of worth to others' approval. Here, the relationship is mirroring back to us an opportunity to cultivate self-love and recognize that our worth does not depend on external validation. This reflection invites us to dig deeper, to ask ourselves if we truly believe in our own worthiness or if we are seeking it outside of ourselves. Our relationships also bring forward our beliefs about trust and vulnerability. If you hold the belief that opening up will lead to betrayal or hurt, you might find it difficult to fully invest in a relationship, even if the other person shows genuine care. This belief, often rooted in past experiences or fears, may cause you to build emotional walls that prevent you from experiencing true intimacy. When this dynamic is mirrored in a relationship, it can highlight areas where healing and trust building are needed. In this way, relationships become a safe space to explore the parts of ourselves that may be afraid to trust, helping us gradually let go of past wounds and embrace new possibilities. Not all reflections in relationships are about fears or insecurities. They can also mirror our strengths, resilience, and capacity for love. When we carry positive, empowering beliefs about ourselves, we attract healthier, more fulfilling relationships. For instance, when you believe deeply in your worthiness and have a strong sense of self-love, you're more likely to attract people who respect, value, and uplift you. This doesn't mean that every relationship will be flawless, but it does suggest that the way you see yourself influences how others see and treat you. A person who knows their worth doesn't settle for relationships that don't align with their values, and this self-respect is often mirrored back by those who are drawn to them. As you grow and evolve, the relationships in your life tend to evolve as well. You might notice that people who were once central to your life start to drift away, while others who reflect your current beliefs and values come closer. This is a natural part of growth, a testament to the fact that relationships are reflections of our inner journeys. When we change internally, our relationships adapt to align with our new sense of self. This isn't a process of rejection or abandonment, it's a process of alignment. As we nurture beliefs of self-worth, respect, and love within ourselves, we create space for relationships that echo those same qualities. Relationships are invitations to discover and rediscover ourselves. They show us who we are and who we are becoming. They give us a window into our subconscious, allowing us to see the beliefs we may not be fully aware of. By embracing this perspective, we can approach relationships with curiosity, viewing each one as an opportunity to learn more about ourselves. The journey may not always be easy, but it's through relationships that we find some of the deepest insights and growth in life. Relationships teach us that our beliefs matter, and by aligning our inner world with love and acceptance, we open ourselves to connections that reflect those same beautiful qualities. Growth through distance is a concept that often emerges in relationships, friendships, and even our personal journey towards self-discovery. It's a paradoxical idea sometimes. The best way to become closer to someone or to find clarity within ourselves is to step away. Distance creates a space that allows us to gain perspective, to reflect on what we value, and to evaluate our true desires and intentions. Though it may initially feel uncomfortable, distance can be one of the most profound teachers, offering insights we may not be able to access in the midst of closeness or familiarity. When distance enters a relationship, it can feel like a loss or a fracture. We might feel a sudden emptiness, an unfamiliar quiet that makes us question the stability or strength of our connection. Yet, rather than being a negative event, distance can actually be a blessing in disguise. It offers us a chance to look at the relationship and ourselves without the immediate influence of another person's presence. When we are too close, it's easy to become entangled, to lose a sense of our individual selves, or to overlook areas where growth and understanding are needed. Distance provides a moment to pause, to breathe, and to reflect. One of the gifts of distance is that it creates time for self-reflection. When we are physically or emotionally close to someone, our attention is often focused outward on the other person's needs, behaviors, and expectations. But when distance enters the picture, we are encouraged to turn inward. We have time to examine our own thoughts and feelings, to ask ourselves if we are truly in alignment with the life we want, and to assess how the relationship or situation fits into our vision for ourselves. This self-reflection is a powerful tool for growth. It allows us to step back, free from external influence, and gain a clearer understanding of who we are and what we need. Distance also has a way of clarifying our values and priorities. When we're apart from someone, we may realize the depth of our feelings for them, or we might come to see that the relationship doesn't serve our highest good. This clarity can only come through space and time. It's often in moments of separation that we recognize the importance of a person in our life, or conversely, the ways in which they might be hindering our growth. Distance strips away the everyday distractions, bringing our true feelings and desires to the forefront. It's here that we find the courage to make choices that align with our authentic selves. Moreover, distance can foster independence and self-reliance. When we are closely connected with someone, especially in an intimate relationship, it's easy to fall into patterns of dependency. We may lean on each other for support, affirmation, or even our sense of identity. But distance pushes us to stand on our own, to find stability within ourselves, and to reconnect with our inner strength. This process of rediscovering our independence is essential for healthy, balanced relationships. It teaches us that while we may want companionship, we do not need it to feel whole. This realization is empowering as it allows us to enter or re-enter relationships from a place of choice rather than necessity. Another profound benefit of distance is that it allows both individuals in a relationship the opportunity to grow separately, which can ultimately enhance their connection. When people spend too much time together, they may begin to take each other for granted or fall into predictable routines that leave little room for excitement or novelty. However, when they experience life separately, they each gather new experiences, insights, and perspectives. This individual growth brings fresh energy back into the relationship, keeping it alive and dynamic. Each person has new stories to tell, new ideas to share, and new facets of themselves to offer. The distance, in this sense, keeps the connection vibrant, providing a foundation for ongoing discovery and deepening of the bond. For some, distance also brings healing. Emotional wounds, insecurities, and unresolved conflicts can cloud our interactions with others, but when we are apart, we have the chance to address these issues independently. Distance gives us room to process our emotions, to release grievances, and to find closure where needed. It's during these times of separation that we can heal parts of ourselves that we may have overlooked while we were close to someone. This personal healing is crucial. It prepares us to engage in relationships with a clearer heart, free from the shadows of past hurts. Finally, distance gives us perspective. When we are close to a situation or relationship, it can be difficult to see it objectively. Emotions may cloud our judgment, and we may become entangled in the highs and lows without understanding the bigger picture. But with distance, we gain perspective. We see things from a wider angle, allowing us to recognize patterns, habits, and truths that were once hidden. This perspective allows us to approach relationships from a place of understanding and maturity, rather than impulse or reaction. In the end, growth through distance is about trusting the process and understanding that distance doesn't necessarily mean disconnection. It's a period of personal transformation, reflection, and empowerment. It teaches us that sometimes stepping away is the very thing that brings us closer to ourselves and to others. By embracing distance as a space for growth, we can return to our relationships with a renewed sense of self-clarity and purpose. Self-worth is a fundamental aspect of our existence, yet it is often one of the most misunderstood. It's easy to fall into the trap of believing that our worth is determined by others, their opinions, approval, or recognition. Society often teaches us that validation from others is a measure of our value. We seek compliments, crave attention, and work hard for approval, thinking that these external markers define who we are. But true self-worth is an internal realization, entirely independent of what anyone else might think or say. It comes from within, rooted in our understanding and acceptance of ourselves as individuals who are worthy, regardless of external validation. At its core, self-worth means recognizing and honoring our intrinsic value. It's the unshakable belief that we are enough, just as we are, without needing to prove ourselves. This isn't an easy mindset to cultivate in a world that constantly sends messages that we need to be better, smarter, more attractive, or more successful. However, true self-worth is not something that fluctuates based on others' opinions. It is the quiet, confident knowledge that our value is not up for debate, regardless of the circumstances. When we attach our self-worth to others, we place our happiness and security in their hands. This can lead to feelings of insecurity, fear of rejection, and a need to constantly seek approval. If we rely on others to validate our worth, we give away our power, making ourselves vulnerable to the changing tides of opinion and external circumstances. Our worth should not rise or fall based on who likes us, who approves of us, or who gives us praise. These external factors are fleeting and unreliable. Tying self-worth to them only sets us up for disappointment and self-doubt. Cultivating self-worth independent of others is a journey of self-discovery and self-acceptance. It requires us to look inward rather than seeking validation outward. It begins with a willingness to accept ourselves as we are, with all our strengths and flaws. This acceptance is not about settling or refusing to grow, but rather recognizing that we are complete and worthy even as we continue to evolve. When we develop self-worth from within, we no longer need to seek approval or affirmation from others. Instead, we can engage with others authentically, free from the need to prove ourselves. This inner self-worth also strengthens our resilience. Life is filled with ups and downs, and not everyone will see our value or support us. However, when we are grounded in our own sense of worth, we become more resilient to criticism, rejection, and even failure. We know that our value is constant and cannot be diminished by external challenges. In fact, this unshakable self-worth allows us to take risks, to step out of our comfort zones, and to pursue our dreams with confidence. We become free to be ourselves without fear of judgment or rejection. An important aspect of understanding self-worth is realizing that everyone has it inherently. We are each unique with our own strengths, talents, and perspectives, and this individuality is what makes us valuable. Just as we don't question the worth of others, we must learn to see ourselves as equally worthy. Self-worth doesn't mean placing ourselves above others. It's about knowing that we are equally deserving of respect, love, and kindness. It's the understanding that our presence matters and that we don't need to change or hide who we are to be worthy of respect. Building a strong sense of self-worth also impacts our relationships. When we value ourselves, we attract healthier connections with others. We no longer settle for relationships that diminish us or make us feel less than we are. Instead, we seek relationships that are built on mutual respect, love, and understanding. We are less likely to tolerate toxic dynamics, and we are more willing to set boundaries to protect our peace and well-being. This kind of self-respect is essential for fostering meaningful, lasting relationships, as it establishes a foundation of mutual respect and honor. Self-worth also plays a significant role in personal growth. When we feel worthy, we believe in our potential and our ability to make positive changes. We don't hold back due to fear of failure or inadequacy. Instead, we pursue growth because we know we deserve the best version of ourselves. This mindset enables us to take on challenges and pursue our dreams without self-doubt holding us back. We recognize that we have the strength and resilience to overcome obstacles, and that each step forward, even the difficult ones, contributes to our journey. In a world where we are constantly bombarded with messages that we need to be more or do more to be worthy, maintaining a sense of self-worth is an act of courage. It's a reminder to ourselves that our value is inherent, not conditional. It's about finding peace within ourselves, knowing that we are enough just as we are. When we understand our worth, we don't need to prove ourselves to anyone. We can stand tall with confidence and grace, knowing that our value is unwavering. Ultimately, self-worth is a gift we give ourselves. It's a source of inner peace, resilience, and empowerment that allows us to navigate life with strength and authenticity. By embracing our worth independent of others, we step into a life of fulfillment and joy. we become empowered to live authentically, free from the need for external approval. This is the beauty of self-worth. It is a constant, quiet strength within us that guides us, supports us, and reminds us that we are enough now and always. In the fast-paced, often overwhelming world we live in, we're frequently presented with moments that demand an immediate response. Whether it's a challenging conversation, unexpected news, or a stressful situation, the instinctive reaction is often to respond quickly. This knee-jerk reaction, however, doesn't always lead to the best outcomes. Instead, learning to pause and engage in reflection can transform the way we handle challenges and can ultimately lead to more thoughtful, fulfilling interactions. Reflection over reaction encourages us to take a step back, observe our thoughts and emotions, and respond with intention rather than reflex. When we react impulsively, our responses are often driven by emotions that might not fully represent our true intentions or values. Imagine an instance when someone says something hurtful, and we immediately respond with anger or defensiveness. In that moment, we're allowing our emotions to take the wheel, often clouding our ability to see the situation clearly. Quick reactions can be impulsive and short-sighted, causing us to say or do things we later regret. In contrast, choosing reflection allows us to process our emotions, understand why we feel the way we do, and approach the situation with a clearer, more grounded mindset. Reflection over reaction starts with the practice of mindfulness. By becoming more aware of our emotions, we develop the ability to notice them without being overwhelmed by them. This process of acknowledging our feelings without judgment is a powerful tool. It allows us to sit with discomfort rather than being controlled by it. Through mindfulness, we create a space between the trigger and our response, giving ourselves the chance to understand what's happening within us. Are we feeling hurt, threatened, or fearful? Taking the time to identify these feelings enables us to approach the situation from a place of understanding rather than defensiveness or impulsiveness. This mindful pause doesn't mean ignoring or suppressing our emotions. Instead, it's about choosing to process them before responding. It's acknowledging that our initial reaction may not always be the most helpful. By pausing, we give ourselves the opportunity to consider different perspectives, which can lead to more balanced and compassionate responses. When we react immediately, we're often seeing the situation through the narrow lens of our personal experience and emotions. But by reflecting, we can broaden our view, consider the other person's intentions, and think about what would serve both ourselves and the situation in the long term. Reflection over reaction also involves a commitment to understanding our own triggers. Each of us has emotional triggers, those specific words, actions, or situations that elicit strong reactions. These triggers are often tied to past experiences, unresolved issues, or deeply held beliefs. By taking time to reflect on our responses, we can start to recognize patterns in our reactions. Perhaps we find ourselves consistently defensive in certain situations or anxious around certain people. Recognizing these triggers through reflection enables us to better understand our emotional landscape, giving us greater control over how we respond in future situations. When we prioritize reflection over reaction, our relationships benefit as well. Thoughtful responses help prevent misunderstandings and unnecessary conflict, creating space for open communication and mutual respect. When we respond with reflection, we're more likely to listen actively, express ourselves clearly, and approach conflicts with a desire to resolve rather than win. This reflective approach fosters deeper connections as it shows respect for both our own emotions and those of others. People who feel heard and understood are more likely to respond with kindness and understanding, creating a positive feedback loop that strengthens the relationship. Reflection also supports personal growth. By taking time to reflect on our reactions, we can identify areas for improvement within ourselves. We may recognize tendencies to jump to conclusions, assume the worst, or react out of fear. Each instance of reflection becomes an opportunity to learn, grow, and refine our approach to challenges. Over time, this self-awareness cultivates a stronger, more resilient version of ourselves. We become less susceptible to emotional swings and better equipped to handle stress, disappointment, or conflict. This growth helps us approach life's challenges with a sense of calm and confidence that is rooted in self-understanding. Practicing reflection over reaction is also a form of self-compassion. Often impulsive reactions are driven by a harsh internal critic or a fear of not being enough. When we choose to reflect, we're giving ourselves permission to pause, to process, and to respond in a way that honors our values. We allow ourselves to let go of the need to be perfect or to respond correctly in every moment. Instead, we cultivate a kind, understanding approach toward ourselves, knowing that we're allowed to take time and respond in ways that align with our true selves. In practical terms, choosing reflection over reaction can be as simple as taking a few deep breaths before responding to a situation. Those few seconds of breathing create a moment of calm that allows us to engage our rational mind rather than reacting purely from an emotional place. It's in this calm that we can ask ourselves questions: what do I truly feel? What outcome do I want here? How can I communicate in a way that's authentic to me? These questions guide us toward responses that reflect our best selves rather than impulsive reactions that might not serve us or others. Ultimately, reflection over reaction is about reclaiming control over how we interact with the world. It's a choice to lead with intentionality, to value thoughtfulness over immediacy, and to honor ourselves and others in the process. As we practice this approach, we discover that reflection leads to more fulfilling, peaceful, and constructive interactions. Life will continue to bring challenges, unexpected events, and moments of tension. But when we choose to reflect, we equip ourselves to handle these situations with grace and understanding. In doing so, we create a life where our responses are a true reflection of who we are, rather than a reaction to external circumstances. Self-love is one of the most powerful, transformative practices, yet it's often overshadowed by the need for external validation. In a world where approval seems to come from others' opinions, likes, and affirmations, it's easy to place our sense of worth in the hands of others. We learn from an early age that praise and recognition feel good, and that we should seek them out as measures of success. But real fulfillment, confidence, and happiness don't come from outside validation. They come from a deep-rooted sense of self-love, an unconditional acceptance and appreciation for who we are, flaws and all. When we rely on validation from others, we hand over control of our self-worth to external forces. Our happiness and confidence become conditional, dependent on whether others approve of us or if we meet their expectations. This can lead to a constant cycle of people-pleasing, self-doubt, and insecurity as we shape ourselves to fit someone else's ideals. External validation is unreliable. It fluctuates based on other people's moods, perspectives, and often fleeting attention. Tying our sense of self-worth to validation from others not only makes us vulnerable to these changes, but also distances us from our true selves. Self-love, on the other hand, is rooted in self-acceptance. It's an internal acknowledgement that we are enough as we are, without the need for approval or praise. Self-love means recognizing our own value independent of what others might think. It allows us to honor our individuality, to appreciate our strengths and forgive our weaknesses, and to know that our worth is inherent. This kind of self-acceptance brings peace and stability because it is unconditional. It doesn't waver based on how others perceive us. It's a steady, quiet confidence that we carry with us regardless of the circumstances. Self-love is not just about positive affirmations or thinking good things about ourselves. It's a deeper commitment to nurturing, supporting, and respecting ourselves. This means taking care of our physical, mental, and emotional well-being. It means setting boundaries, saying no when necessary, and protecting our time and energy. It's also about forgiving ourselves for past mistakes and recognizing that these do not define our worth. Self-love allows us to view ourselves with compassion and kindness, understanding that we, like everyone else, are on a journey of growth. This self-compassion helps us to be resilient in difficult times and less affected by criticism or rejection from others. Learning to prioritize self-love over validation requires a shift in perspective. Instead of looking outward for confirmation of our worth, we must look inward. This can be a challenging process, especially for those who have long depended on others' opinions as a guide. But as we practice self-love, we start to find strength and assurance from within. We begin to see that our value does not come from how others see us, but from our own perception and appreciation of ourselves. This is a liberating realization, as it frees us from the need to prove ourselves to anyone. One of the profound benefits of self-love is that it enhances our relationships. When we truly love ourselves, we are less likely to seek approval or cling to others for validation. This allows us to enter relationships from a place of abundance rather than need. We are better able to communicate honestly, set healthy boundaries, and respect the individuality of others. Self-love also gives us the courage to walk away from relationships that are harmful or unfulfilling, as we no longer need to stay in situations that do not honor our worth. By loving ourselves, we attract healthier, more balanced relationships, grounded in mutual respect and authenticity. Self-love is also deeply empowering. When we are no longer dependent on external validation, we gain a sense of freedom to pursue our goals and live authentically. We become less afraid of failure or judgment because our worth is no longer tied to others' opinions. We can take risks, try new things, and embrace our unique path without the fear of letting someone else down. This empowerment enables us to live a life true to our values and desires, which is ultimately the most fulfilling way to live. To cultivate self-love, it helps to practice gratitude for ourselves. This involves recognizing and appreciating our accomplishments, both big and small. It means taking time to reflect on our journey, acknowledging the challenges we've overcome and the strengths we've developed along the way. Practicing gratitude for ourselves reinforces our sense of worth and reminds us that we are whole, capable, and deserving of love. Another powerful aspect of self-love is the ability to forgive ourselves. We all make mistakes, have regrets, and face moments of self-doubt. But self-love means understanding that these experiences are a part of our growth, not a measure of our value. When we forgive ourselves, we release feelings of shame or guilt that may be holding us back, allowing us to move forward with a sense of lightness and freedom. Ultimately, self-love over validation is about embracing our own unique worth and letting go of the need to seek approval from others. It's about finding peace and acceptance within ourselves, knowing that we are enough just as we are. This doesn't mean we stop growing or striving for our goals, but rather that we pursue them from a place of inner confidence rather than a need for validation. Self-love is a lifelong journey of nurturing our inner selves, celebrating our individuality, and honoring our own worth. As we embrace this path, we find that true fulfillment, joy, and resilience come from within, and that we are indeed our own greatest source of love and validation. Relationships are one of life's greatest teachers, revealing lessons about ourselves and the world around us in ways few other experiences can. Whether with family, friends, romantic partners, or colleagues, each connection provides insights, challenges, and opportunities for growth that shape who we are. Relationships teach us about trust, compassion, patience, and vulnerability. They allow us to see the impact we have on others and help us recognize the areas in which we still need to grow. While some relationships fill us with joy and others bring pain, each one holds a lesson contributing to our evolution. One of the most profound lessons relationships offer is the value of vulnerability. To truly connect with someone, we must be willing to show our authentic selves, including our insecurities, fears, and dreams. This openness can be intimidating as it requires letting go of the protective walls we build around our hearts. Yet in relationships, vulnerability is the pathway to intimacy and trust. By allowing ourselves to be seen fully, we invite others to do the same. Through this mutual openness, relationships become richer and more meaningful, teaching us that true strength lies not in hiding our weaknesses, but in being honest about them. Relationships also teach us the importance of setting and respecting boundaries. Healthy boundaries are crucial for maintaining balance and self-respect, yet many people struggle to set them. We may fear that establishing limits will push others away or cause conflict, but in reality, boundaries are essential for any relationship to thrive. They allow us to define our needs and communicate them clearly, fostering respect between individuals. In learning to set boundaries, we also learn to recognize and respect the boundaries of others. This mutual understanding cultivates healthier relationships where each person feels valued and free to be themselves without fear of being taken for granted. Another lesson relationships provide is the ability to practice empathy and compassion. In every connection, we are reminded that the other person has their own experiences, struggles, and perspectives. When we take the time to understand where they're coming from, we build compassion. We learn to listen, not just to respond, but to truly understand. Empathy allows us to bridge gaps, heal conflicts, and build stronger bonds. It teaches us that everyone carries their own burdens, and by showing compassion, we can create a supportive space for others. This practice of empathy doesn't only benefit our relationships, but enriches our character, helping us become more understanding and kind individuals. Forgiveness is another powerful lesson that relationships bring into our lives. In any close connection, misunderstandings, disappointments, and mistakes are inevitable. Learning to forgive allows us to release resentment and move forward without holding on to past hurts. Forgiveness doesn't mean condoning harmful behavior, rather, it's about letting go of the weight of anger or bitterness. It's an act of self-liberation as much as it is a gift to the other person. By forgiving, we allow ourselves to grow from the experience and free up emotional space for positive energy. Relationships that teach us forgiveness strengthen our resilience and open our hearts to healing and renewal. Relationships can also teach us about the importance of self-love and independence. While connections with others are important, relying solely on others for happiness and fulfillment can lead to dependency and disappointment. Relationships encourage us to look within and cultivate a sense of self-worth and inner peace that doesn't depend on external validation. When we love ourselves and take responsibility for our own happiness, we can enter relationships from a place of wholeness rather than neediness. This independence allows us to contribute to the relationship meaningfully without expecting the other person to complete us. Through this balance of connection and autonomy, we learn that self-love is the foundation for healthy, lasting relationships. Communication is yet another essential lesson that relationships teach us. Honest, clear, and open communication is the bedrock of any strong connection. Misunderstandings often arise from assumptions or unspoken expectations, leading to unnecessary conflict. In relationships, we learn that communication isn't just about speaking, but also about listening. It's about expressing our thoughts and feelings respectfully and giving the other person space to share theirs as well. Relationships remind us that words have power, the power to heal, to connect, to hurt, and to uplift. When we learn to communicate with honesty and kindness, we create an environment where each person feels heard, valued, and respected. Finally, relationships teach us the importance of gratitude. It's easy to take those close to us for granted, especially in long-term relationships where routines set in. But each relationship brings something unique and valuable into our lives. By practicing gratitude, we remind ourselves of the joy, support, and lessons these connections offer. Expressing appreciation not only strengthens our bonds, but also fosters a sense of contentment and fulfillment. Through gratitude, we learn to cherish each moment, recognizing that relationships, like all things in life, are precious and should be nurtured with care. In every relationship, whether it lasts a lifetime or just a moment, there is something to be learned. The experiences we gain through our interactions with others shape our worldview, refine our character, and guide our personal growth. While some relationships bring comfort and joy, others may challenge us and push us to face difficult truths. Both types are necessary, as they each contribute to our understanding of ourselves and the world. Embracing relationships as teachers allows us to approach each connection with openness and curiosity, ready to learn and grow. In the end, relationships are not just about companionship or support, they are opportunities for profound self-discovery. Through them, we learn about vulnerability, boundaries, empathy, forgiveness, self-love, communication, and gratitude. These lessons are gifts that we carry forward, shaping how we interact with the world and ourselves. The people we meet along our journey, whether briefly or deeply, leave their mark on our hearts, reminding us that life's most valuable lessons often come through the people we connect with. Relationships guide us in becoming more compassionate, self-aware, and loving individuals, enriching our lives in ways that are truly transformative.